And we're live.
Hello, my name's Johan,
My name is Oliver.
and welcome to Usable Live.
Yet another episode.
Oh, yes.
So, what's on the agenda today?
Well, we're still sticking with the agentic, like understanding of agents
Yeah.
and how you can use them in various different methods. And we're doing that today as well.
Yeah. And the title we selected was Building an Agentic Website Generator.
Yeah. And of course, when we do anything in these sessions, is that we always use usable in our processes as well. And today we thought, why not just try and make a website generator using agents?
Yeah.
And the goal here is for people to either who don't understand what agents are will get an immediate idea of what is happening and how it works, and for others to maybe get inspiration, and finally give a little sneak peek of something we might be working on.
Sounds extremely interesting. So, let's go back to the basics. What is usable?
So usable is a data store for agents.
Yes. Knowledge management for AI agents.
Yeah. So it's a way for agents to store information, long-term information, and to share information with other agents.
Yep.
Kind of like how you would do in your office, where you deliver something and then you would like anyone else in the office to be able to access it as well.
Yeah. So it solves the huge problem that agents have, and that's memory, long-term memory.
Yeah. You can ask an agent 5 times the same thing and he will give you 5 different answers depending on the mood.
Yep. So we're solving insomnia.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds a bit like Orlando.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about Orlando and we're trying to elevate him a bit.
Yeah.
To the next level using
So-
these agentic approaches.
So we take the simple version of Orlando, the current one, that if you go into the Orlando webpage, what is that all about?
Yeah, so I will try. Should I just open the Orlando workspace?
Yeah.
I'll just open it here first, because here we go. So I will share my screen. Here we go.
There he is.
And this is Orlando. Orlando is a collection of best practices when it comes to making plain landing pages. So no libraries or any dependencies. It's just plain old school HTML, CSS, and JavaScript that is proven and tested and runs extremely fast.
So if you open this workspace in an IDE like Cursor or Windsurf or whatever you're using,
Yeah.
you can get extremely good websites.
Yeah.
Without any fuss, without any frameworks, without
No.
anything. But there is one caveat, and that is that you need the IDE to use
Yeah.
Orlando.
We've made several websites now with Orlando, and the thing is that the member who does these websites always has to have Cursor running on the machine as well.
Yeah. And that's fine, but there are lots of people that do not want to have that extra overhead.
Yeah.
And hence the idea of Orlando Studio.
Yes, exactly.
So what is Orlando Studio?
Orlando Studio, we can try and open him here. He's currently just running locally, so you're getting a very early preview of this. But Orlando Studio is basically, you can think of it as Cursor in your browser. So you're making the website, you're talking to an agent, or in this case, several agents, to produce a website. So he's doing the exact same thing that you would do using Orlando on your machine, only it's in the browser now. And you can just open this website and then start working.
So it sounds like V0 or
Yeah,
Lovable or something like that.
it's going in the same direction, but instead of making rather complex applications from the start, because if you look at Lovable, for example, it's very powerful, but it is inherently building on complex tools. So you automatically make complex apps, regardless if you put a hello world on the screen or not. It
Yeah.
will automatically be complex.
With loads of boilerplate and
Yeah.
complexity, and where
And-
Orlando goes in the directly opposite direction and says we should make this as simple as possible,
Yeah.
as efficient as possible, and as understandable as possible.
Throwback right there. Because, yeah, that's the whole thing with when you use Lovable, you might run into a term very quickly when you start working with deployments and getting this out to people is something called server-side rendering. And that is just a whole can of worms that if you're not a developer, you might contemplate what the heck is that and do I even bother learning it? Whereas Orlando does the opposite.
Yes.
We try to keep it as simple and as 90s as possible with all the bells and whistles that we have in 2025.
So Orlando Studio is an agent.
Yeah. Orlando Studio is a web app that utilizes agents behind the scenes.
So it's actually an application that utilizes a number of agents, or it's a collection of agents. And so how do you orchestrate that, or what's the structure, or do you have any overview of that?
Yeah, so when I started out, I draft up an agent graph or a graph of how the agents communicate. And as you can see here, there are several dots on the screen, and each dot represents an agent. And what these agents mean is that they are highly specialized to solving one specific problem or two specific problems.
Yeah.
So what we started out with is that when you're using a chatbot, it's very important that the AI understands what it is you're saying. So we started out by having an understanding agent. So all he does is that he reads what the user asks, tries to understand it, and from there is able to decide what should happen next.
So each circle here is an agent.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then we have a research agent, which is specifically designed to look into the Orlando workspace to learn best practices. Is there any information that's missing?
Yeah.
And either go online to find more information if it's something more generic than website building. Like, you could say, give me 5 dog breeds. That might not be unusable, so he has to go online to look for that.
And again, just to go back to the basics, what is an agent compared to just a chatbot?
Yeah, so if you're used to ChatGPT, it is just you chat with a bot, he uses his vast knowledge, hence the LLMs, and then he replies with an answer based on what's the most predictable, like the predicted value that he would give you back. So it's just a normal chat, like you would chat with your
and
friends.
An agent, what is that then?
An agent is a more complex version where he is set out to solve a task.
Yeah.
So in this case, it is the understanding agent is specifically designed. Only thing he does is to understand what it is you're asking for and then provide that information to the next agent. So he can focus on what he does best.
And there is also a thing like an agent loop. So it means that the agent goes on and on in a loop until a sufficient answer is available.
Yeah. And that's kind of what happens here, that we have the validator agent, which all he does is validate that what has been produced is good enough.
Yep.
And from there, it is decided what the user asked for. Is it style related? Is it content related? Like, is it just some text that needs to change?
Yeah.
And from there, he continuously loops in this agentic loop. He produces some code, gives it to the validator. Validator checks, this is not good enough. Try again. Then he goes back up. And a more complex situation is if a user asks for, can you add a footer and put opening times on it? Or our company logo or something.
Yeah.
This is a code-related thing as well as a content-related change.
Yes.
So here he would update the code, right, and creating a footer on your page, and then provide the information of what he had done to the validator. Validator goes, all right, well, you did this. Now we need to actually populate the content.
Yeah.
And then he goes over to the content one and then makes him update all the information on what a footer would otherwise say. And then they actually iteratively go back and forth until everything is satisfied.
And there's an arrow back to missing details or follow-up. So
yeah. So if the validator runs into an issue where he cannot confidently say that he solved the issue because maybe your query was too vague, the message you sent to the AI, where he would then go back, ask for follow-ups, get more information from the user. If there is anything additional research that is required, then he goes up there and then goes back to the validator and tries again.
Yep.
And this is kind of the core.
So this is like your blueprint or your starting point. So
yeah,
is this how it was implemented eventually, or is this
very similar to this?
Yep.
Only the order is slightly different. And again, that's something you find out as you're working as well.
Yep.
And one more thing to note as well is that you could say a difference between an agent and a chatbot is that each agent has specific powers. So the research one can do web searches. He has the reasoning, uses a reasoning model, so he can assess what he found is viable or not. The black ones are just LLMs. This is equivalent to a chatbot. He just checks what you said and then decides a specific output.
Yep.
And then the other 3 nodes have access to usable. So they will go in and check what is best practices, what should I do, what should I consider, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this was the baseline that we went with. And this is what we ended up using at this point.
Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4. Yep.
And then technically a phase 5 as well. So what he ends up doing now is that he first tries to understand what you said, like we did before. He does the research. He generates the content or code. He validates. And by validation, what that means is that he will generate a bunch of to-do lists. Like, what wasn't good enough? What needs to change?
Yeah.
Then he checks if there are any to-dos or not. If there are none, then yes, it's completed. We did it. If they are, then he will batch operate, basically tell these to solve all these to-dos at once. Yeah. They can solve them in parallel.
Yep.
And this is to make it run as fast as possible. And just to give an insight into, or broad insight into how this might work, is that we have currently the understanding agent, research agent, web dev agent, content, and summary, and then the validator agent as well.
And it looks like we're using different models for the different steps.
Yeah, this is the glorious part of agents. It's that you can use different models. So understanding agent, he really does not need to be very smart. He just needs to understand what you said and then convey what needs to happen from that point on. So I decided to use Gemini 2.5 Flashlight because it's cheap.
It sounds fast.
Yeah, and very fast. And research, he uses Claude Sonnet 4. You could go use ChatGPT in this case. That could also be a good option. For web deving, I specifically picked 4.5 because he is so far, I think, the best one for web development.
Yep.
But then again, for content, it's just a JSON object with some information in it. So we went actually way further back to 3.5 Sonnet. This could again also maybe be ChatGPT.
Yep.
And then we have a summary agent, which we can touch on later if we want, but it basically helps usable search better. And again, read the information, summarize it. It's not very complicated. And then the validator agent uses Claude Sonnet 4 because he needs to actually understand what the code and the content says.
Cool.
And that's basically it. Yeah. Understanding.
And you have the phases. So this.
Yeah. Where phase 1 is understanding. He tries to understand, is this a content change, code change, a hybrid? Is it both?
Yeah. So for the software engineers out there, this is a context. No.
Oh, dang it. Yeah. A state. No.
It's a sequence diagram.
Yeah, sequence. That's the one. When we're live, everything just leaves.
So you have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3.
Yeah. And again, phase 3, research. He goes, I think one's missing here. He's supposed to go online as well, but he does usable like Orlando public workspace just to see if there's anything he needs to consider before. Yeah. And then generation, it handles HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And here's kind of what differs from other solutions. It's that we try to keep the files as small as possible. So the content that you choose to render on your site, like text or images or whatever it is, they are not part of the code itself. They are what we call handlebars. So we just render these things into the HTML.
Yep.
And when we actually render the website on the browser, he will update this live as it comes down.
Cool.
And this is to separate the content agent from the web dev agent, so they can like be super specialized.
So maybe it would be good to see something
Yeah.
live, so what this actually is.
So I think that's a very good idea, and we can just jump right into Orlando Studio and give him a go.
So this is Orlando Studio in the current iteration.
Yeah. And I'm currently running it locally, as you can see in the terminal right here. And it's also kind of so we can have a look at the logs to see what happens. So if we go back to Orlando Studio, I will just open the studio. And from there, he sets up a boilerplate canvas. This is our first just quick iteration of it. And that's it. Now he created a website.
Cool.
And
so that was just created on the fly.
Yeah, this he basically makes sure to store some information so he has something to work on rather than you just jumping in and then there's nothing.
Yeah.
And before we really dive into the chatbot, we can quickly just show what is happening. So if I just quickly go back to the cameras and go back, find Orlando Studio, the workspace Orlando Studio.
Yep. So now we're in usable.
Yeah, we're in usable, and this is the Orlando Studio workspace,
which is not public yet.
No, or this one won't be public, but or you just use the Orlando one.
Yeah.
And what I've created here is a fragment type called website. And as you can see, he generated a bunch of fragments.
I can see it was created 1 minute ago, so it was literally created right now.
Yeah. That was that step where he was filling in, like you setting up your website.
Yeah.
All that did was that he populated these fragments. And if we open one, we can open the index HTML. It will show you the content itself, which is just HTML code. And as you see, he added these data::footer.text.
Yep.
And this relates directly to a different fragment.
Yep.
Which is a data fragment, or what Orlando Studio coins as a data fragment.
Yep.
Where we just have some text in it. And from there on out, we are using tags. So I opened the index HTML one again. You can see we added tags at the top here to indicate what type of file this is, as well as is it a file that will affect all other files, or is it more like you open a page and then that is scoped to that page, as well as the route to get there on the website. So we end up having code fragments and data fragments and a project structure fragment, which just demonstrate how folder structure is.
But basically, usable is your CMS.
Yeah. I am not using, the only thing I'm using a database for is for when you create a brand new project, you need to link the fragment type that you want to use as your website storage to a project. So we can test it real quick if we want. Yep. So if I go back to usable, I will create a new settings, create a new fragment type and call it website 2. Big line. Create the fragment type. This is another. So you could technically have several.
It looks like Westbyte.
So you could technically have several websites in the same workspace if you wanted to. All right, there we go. So he should be here now, empty. And if I go back to Orlando Studio, I will create a new project. I'll call it the I pick Orlando Studio, there he is. And we pick the website too. So what I'm doing right now is I'm picking what workspace I want to store it in.
Yep.
And then what fragment type I would like to store everything related to the website.
Yeah.
We press create project. And it might not be working because we need to be running the yarn flow core stream.
Yep.
Because this is running locally. There we go. So he should be popping in there. Come on.
It might be timed out.
Yeah, probably did. Backfill. Projects, and then he should populate this one.
Yep. Error sending event 2.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is running locally, but I think for now, the gist is that that's how you connect a project. So,
but just to look back at what you're saying is that you have a fragment type in one of your workspaces where you save everything, and you can actually go into the website fragment type there and make edits directly in the code there.
Yeah.
In principle.
Yeah, and
but the idea is that you're doing everything in Orlando Studio.
Yeah, and you could quite easily use usable chat and just tell them, hey, could you quickly change the text on one of the data thing fragments?
For instance, we have changed the name of the company. Can you change it everywhere?
Yeah. And then if you're doing it inside Orlando Studio or inside the usable chat, that's kind of up to you. But the kind of the core idea with having to use usable as the data source is that, one, we don't need a database anymore. And number two is that as this website grows, you have a tendency to lose like the aspect of what it is you actually were working on.
Yeah.
Whereas now, as you develop your website, you're already building up a stronger like history and baseline for your business. Because you can always ask about it in usable chat.
And but it's part of your knowledge base.
Yeah.
And integrated with everything else. But regarding this, you can see some that's some error that's there.
Yeah,
it's because it's not quite.
And because this is currently running locally, which is it's a Next.js thing where it always shows one error.
So, but just to be clear, we're using Next.js to do Orlando Studio. That's how it's built. But the websites that come out are not.
No.
So they're clean.
The websites are deployed in the same way that all of our other Orlando-based websites are, which is GitHub Pages.
Yep.
So it is 100% free to host. All you need is a domain name.
Or you use GitHub's domain name.
The really long, complicated one.
But another detail, if you look at the green box there, that is actually not part of the website. That is just your interaction chat window with Orlando Studio. Yeah. And the same with the navigation bar at the top.
So we could press that one and it would go away.
Yeah.
So this is your website.
Except the red and error there and the green Orlando Studio chat window.
Yeah. And what is currently happening is that this website is being rendered by going into usable, the fragment type that we mentioned. He pulls the information down, the HTML file, the CSS file, the content, and then he merges it together as it renders on this page. So this is actually reading directly from usable and renders it live on your screen. So if you change something in usable, he will reflect this here.
Immediately. Okay. How about the deployment? So how do you deploy this to GitHub?
So we haven't implemented the deployment fully yet, but what will happen is that you will just press deploy, and we will deploy it for you in a GitHub project.
Yep.
And the plan is to have a paid versus maybe a less paid version.
Yep.
Where you can either just have it public like a public repository, so everyone can technically see your website, but for the most part, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, it goes into GitHub, where he takes exact same way. He takes the all the fragments, he merges them with all the content, and then throws them into GitHub. And after he's done deploying, you get back, here's the URL that you're supposed to use, and then you can use your website freely. Meaning there's no one issue with front end websites is often that you have to have a lot of JavaScript for them to work. And that can be very heavy for your browser and not very liked anymore. So now we're basically making what you call server-side applications without the server-side part. We are merging everything into the site, so it's all static, it's all there, and you don't need to fetch anything from the internet.
Amazing. And the typical deploy time, what do you expect that to be?
GitHub pages, well, it takes between 10 to 20 seconds, I believe. Maybe 60 seconds if there's a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
But the load time of the website will be instantaneous because that's kind of the power with running client-side applications that are using no packages. And it basically takes no space.
And again, you're editing in Orlando Studio. You can see the changes and you can change your mind, and it's only when you press deploy that it goes out to the public.
Yeah. And because this is you're connecting to a fragment type and usable, it means that someone else who also has access to Orlando Studio can also go in and make changes. And you can both see the changes live on each other's screen.
Ooh, even though it's just a draft.
Yeah.
Yes, but I guess we're missing the key point, and that is the power of this chatbot here, because the landing page that we're looking at is quite simple. So what can you do here?
So we can say, hello, can you change the site, the hero section, to be about dog sitting? I am starting a dog sitting business, and I need some... Yeah, I'll just say that. And then see what he does. Now, as you can immediately... or maybe he will actually just see this as content changes.
Yeah.
Because we just said, can you change the hero section? But we can try and look at what he does in the terminal. So let's see. We initialized understanding. He says it's a hybrid. Primary agent is content. So he starts with the content one.
Yeah.
And then he tries to understand the intent. The user wants to rebrand the hero section to promote a dog sitting business. And again, these are all agents running, so you can see what they're thinking.
And then
he picks what scope, what needs to be affected. This is HTML and CSS, no JavaScript involved to do this. And then he moves on to the
phase 2
research, where he is just seeing to see if there's anything he needs to understand from Orlando, the public one. And then he moves on to generation, where web dev agent defines a data contract, loading code fragments, so he loads the files from usable. He discovered that there is an index HTML main. He found some JavaScript files. And now he seems to have updated one of the fragments.
Yep.
Updated HTML, updated some CSS. And then he seems to have loaded the site. So we can go back here. There it is.
Oh, your trusted dog sitter.
He even added those dog paws at the top right corner. This one.
And it's an animation even.
Yeah. I don't know how he did that. I can't even grab it.
So, can you have more than one page?
I haven't tested it yet, but it should work. So what we can do first is, can you... Oh, look at that. He even updated the bottom. He even made sure to update the footer.
Perfect. Perfect.
So if I press this one, what happens? He just shows 404. Yeah, that's fine. So we can tell him, awesome, can you now make the booking page and navigate and have the button on the Hero section, navigate to that page. Then we'll see if that works.
Yep. And while Orlando's contemplating that, how about images?
Yeah, that is a feature we'll be adding, which is that you can attach images to it, both for understanding the images, but more to store the images. And that's the great thing about Usable, is that you can now also store images in them. Or in fragments. So those will also be pulled, streamed down from Usable and rendered on screen, or stored in the browser and then rendered.
Yes, and then of course deployed together with the rest.
Yeah. All right, he claims to have done it. I'm scared to press it, but we can try.
Book a consultation.
Project. Okay, fair enough. I mean, that still needs some work.
Yeah.
But you get the idea.
We were pushing it, but the idea is that you can do a full landing page with lots of pages with.
Yeah. And we demonstrated this before, but the Open Web Inspector will be embedded into this project. So what that means is that I could select.
That was my next question. So that sounds fantastic.
So you could select, say, this button.
Yeah.
And then a text pops up, input field. You just type in what you want, and then he understands it's that specific button you wanted to change.
Yeah. Otherwise, you could write it down there and make the book a consultation button larger.
Yeah.
In some cases, that's relatively easy, but in other cases, it's so much more convenient to do it with the web inspector.
Yeah, and it feels way more natural as well.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to ask him one more question, which is, can you add a navigation bar at the top? Make the background see-through, so it looks like it is a part of the hero section, something like that. Just to see, giving him a more complex task.
Yeah.
And I think while he's running, we can quickly hop on over here and just see if he created that page that we were curious about.
Does not look like it.
He does not seem to have created it.
It was just a link.
Yeah, fine. But in that case, yeah, that's one of the next steps in this process.
And the reason why I'm saying it is that the newest one is 16 minutes ago.
Yeah. He added the URL there. Oh wait, this is the new one. He added navigation items. This is the we're seeing this live as he's doing it.
Yeah.
He's still running. That's because now he is iterating over the code itself, which is the thing that takes the longest because it's using Sonnet 4.5.
So we're going between several screens here. So you're looking at Usable, you're looking at the server and the server log, and you're looking at Orlando Studio. But as a website developer or someone that is trying to do something fast, you're just interacting with Orlando Studio, and that's it.
And that is the next step in this process, is that we want him to show you what it is he's thinking as he's doing it, rather than just seeing a loading indicator.
Yep.
So, I mean, he made this button prettier, but he seems to have made something. So if we go over here and Usable, we can have a look at what he did. And he seems to have created a data navigation fragment where he put the homepage on it, tried to put some logo in it, because again, we don't have file upload yet. And then the URLs. But then he seemed to have made a bit of a mess with the rendering itself.
But regardless, this was an early preview of Orlando Studio. It's not available yet, and it's work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the whole point of this is just to show an example of what you can do when you have Usable as the memory layer.
Yeah.
That it's all integrated.
And how you can use several agents.
Yeah.
In different capacities and different models. You're not bound to ChatGPT or Gemini. You can pick whatever model fits you or the specific agent.
and we're not necessarily saying that this is easy to do, but it's definitely doable, and it's
Yeah.
it's a relatively um,
It's easier than it was before, that's for sure.
definitely, and it's a side project,
Yeah.
along with everything else, and but hopefully it will be usable.
Yeah. And with all of our products, it's very much a we're making this for us primarily, so we will most likely be breaking it first as well.
Yeah. So all our different websites and things we do for clients, and so we're using Orlando for that. And I guess the motivation for doing Orlando Studio is just to improve that experience.
Yeah. And then it's one less cursor subscription we need.
And of course, usable is knowledge management for AI agents. So it's at the same time, it's just showcasing another AI agent.
Yeah. So, and how you can, different ways you can utilize usable as the source of truth.
Yep.
And how advanced you can really go with usable. You can use it as a data serving site.
Yep.
Knowledge gathering.
It looks really promising. When do you expect it to be ready in the version 0.1 or something like that?
I am hoping very soon, because now the core of it is done. Now it's fine tuning, because with AIs you have to, there's not one perfect silver bullet to solve all. So we have to fine tune it, try them out, find issues.
So we're 90% there.
Yeah.
The issue often with the last 10% is that it takes 90% of the time because you want it so perfect.
Yeah. But with our agentic approach to development compared to vibe coding, as they call it, is that this can run on the side while we're working on something else. And then we occasionally review the code to make sure it's up to standards.
So all thanks to the AI agents.
Yeah.
I think that wraps it really well.
I don't have anything else to say, I think.
And if you have any ideas or questions, please reach out. You can always find us on Discord, among other places.
Oh, please do, and post anything you're working on. That'd be fun to see.
Yeah, and if you want any pointers or details or ideas for how you could make such a tool like Orlando Studio, feel free to reach out. And with that, it's time to say that you should go and make something usable.